Welcome to this week's edition of In the Clubhouse with EMD. I'm Andy Kirikides, joined by my wonderful co-host, Keith Glasser. How are we doing, Coach?
Great. How are you?
Good. Today's episode, we're going to talk about a popular topic, the exit velocity, and shed a little bit of light on it and how it can be used, why it matters, why it doesn't, and we'll take a few minutes to discuss this topic. So, Coach, I'm going to kick it over to you. Let's jumpstart this thing.
Exit velo. Big hot topic of recent years. I think it's one of those things that, we started being able to kind of track a little bit. Obviously, I think people did it with radar guns for a while. And then recently, we have TrackMan, we have Rapsodo, we have HitTrax, we have a plethora of other technological advances in the baseball game that allow us to track a lot of the stuff and how balls are coming off the barrel and how fast and what they do. And I think it's important to note that, the exit velo stuff is phenomenal, but we still got to get hits. And I think that, sometimes we maybe overtrain a little bit for super high exit velos, and we're not necessarily training all the time for actual live in-game hitting. And look, at the end of the day, you want to hit the baseball hard. That is a true and fast rule when it comes to baseball for as long as this game has been played. The harder you can hit the baseball, generally speaking, the further it will go, and the more opportunity you kind of give yourselves to be successful. But that being said, and I think some of this gets lost. I don't want to nerd out on hitting too much, and but you can only control your swing, right? Like, you can hit the baseball as hard as you've ever hit the baseball in your life, and you can hit it right at the shortstop or right at the center fielder, and you get out. So it's great to have super high exit velos because it opens more doors for you. However, you still got to be able to do stuff in game. And I think Billy said it when he was on the one day. Like, it's these exit velos, like, they're great off a tee, but we don't play in a carnival. We're facing guys with mid-90s stuff with movement and snapdragon sliders in the 80s and power changeups and baseballs are moving, and it's super hard to hit. And being able to pair your high exit velo in game is really the ultimate goal. Being able to do it in BP is one thing, but the 5 o'clock hitter has been a real thing for a long time. You can do it in BP and that's awesome, but if you can't show up in game and the lights are on, and I've said it 1,000 times, like, it's going to be tough to be able to crack into the lineup. You're going to want to be able to, being able to match those things together and, keep barrels in the zone and be able to, get barrels to baseballs. You're going to find more success doing that than just chasing an exit velo number. And again, I'm not down on exit velo. It's just the reality. Like, I've coached a lot of guys and I've seen a lot of guys that have super high exit velos that can't necessarily do anything more than really just hit one ball in, one or two spots because that's how their swing sets up. Being able to handle multiple pitches and handle breaking pitches and hit in certain counts and be able to find that success is something that is, morphs into an approach and, paying attention to the game and having high baseball IQ. And, so much more goes into it than just being like, yeah, I got a super high exit velo. Like, again, that's awesome. But, there's got to be more that goes into it than just chasing an exit velo number.
Yep. If you're building your swing to just be able to hit a ball hard off the tee, you're probably not focused on the other pieces of being a good hitter that you need to focus on. And yeah, it's a metric that is important. Like, it's a good place to start. My thought, I don't want to double dip on what you said because I think you summed it up really well. But like, you got to have a swing that you can control, that you can manage, that you're able to use functionally when you get in the batter's box. And there's a whole conversation we could have about approach. And I think it's the biggest thing that separates guys when they get to college is pitch recognition and understanding pitch mix and height awareness and width awareness and how guys are going to attack you. Like, that's a complexity that you get to when you become a hitter, not a swinger. But the value I do think that the exit velocity has, and this is where I think kids can really focus on it, is that if you're going through your development phase and you're 15 years old or you're 16 years old and you start working out in the offseason in October and your exit velo off of a tee is 80, that's a great measurement of where you are right now and it gives you something to measure your progress with, right? If you're 80 in October and you're 90 in January, something you're doing is working. You've either gotten a lot stronger, or your swing has got more efficient, or your body's working more in sync, and you're able to cue up the different pieces of your swing and get them aligned and start to work efficiently. So that's the biggest value I think that some of these metrics have for kids, is that it allows you to quantify progress and or identify area that maybe you're not making progress. Like if you've been swinging for a month or 2 months and you've been in the weight room and you're still not generating any additional velocity off of the tee, then we probably need to go back to the drawing board and look at like, well, what's going on here? All right, well, I've gotten a lot stronger, but I'm still not getting the exit velocities. All right, well, maybe there's something in my swing I need to change. Maybe there's a movement. Maybe my first move isn't good, or maybe I'm casting my barrel, or maybe I'm losing my barrel early, whatever it is. Maybe there's something you can address from a mechanical perspective that's going to allow you to tap into that strength a little bit more. So to your point, we don't hit in a carnival. Like, hitting doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's a guy who's going to be trying to get you out, and he's going to be moving the ball around the zone. He's going to throw the velocity. He's going to throw breaking balls. And there's so much more that goes into being a good hitter. But you can also leverage that exit velocity for a really good purpose, which is to track that progress. But don't be fooled into thinking that a high exit velocity means that you're a really good hitter, and that's what's going to be, the piece of information that gets you recruited. Coaches still need to see you be able to manage the strike zone and do all the things that are going to translate to being effective at the college level.
Yeah, I mean, the strike zone discipline, being able to actually, decipher between pitches, what pitches you're going to be seeing at bat to at bat, how are guys getting you out, how are they pitching you, where are you at from where are your hot and cold zones, what balls do you handle the best, are we continually, trying to get better in zones where we're not really being that good, because that, again, you can have super high exit velo and it's good, but when you get to college, like there's scouting reports, there's True Media, there's a lot of things out there that coaches can, use to be able to decipher how to pitch you. And if we're only working on how to hit the ball hard and not necessarily how to become a good hitter, those are two, in my opinions, two vastly different things. Like the goal is to hit the ball hard, yes, but you have to hit the ball in game. Especially from a front toss BP or tee standpoint, like it's relatively easy and straightforward. Like pretty much anyone can get their barrel to it and hit it as hard as they want. It's that ball that's moving. It's that ball that's, all of a sudden bearing in on you on the inner third and you got to turn and burn to get to it, or that, slider that's moving away from you that you got to be able to stay on and be able to get a barrel to it. Like those are the things that are going to separate guys that, can really hit and the guys that, can't. So again, I'm not down on it. I'm not trying to say that it's something that you shouldn't be training and something that you shouldn't be doing, but it shouldn't be the only and super sole focus of what your training is. Like, yes, train it, but also train it being a hitter.
I think you nailed that, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for listening to our TED Talk on exit velocity. Until next time, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for listening this week. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and smash that like button for us. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at EMD Baseball. If you want to find out what me and Keith do to help families and players navigate the recruiting process, go ahead and check us out on emdbaseball.com. Take a few minutes to check out our new online academy. I promise you'll get some good information out of that. Thanks again for listening. Check in with you next week.